Welcome, friends, to the Someone Gets Me podcast. I am your host, Dianne A, and I am so delighted that you're here. This podcast was created because I believe there is a visionary leader inside each one of us who is waiting to be seen. In each episode of Someone Gets Me, you will hear useful tips from successful visionaries who will share their stories about how being seen has allowed them to take their vision out into the world with action. Gifted people reducing stress in 10 minutes or less. Hi, friends. It's Dianne here at Someone Gets Me. And today, stress is the topic. It is the topic because I've been getting lots of questions about it lately from my gifted and twice exceptional clients, from people who have been emailing me and contacting me in all kinds of ways, going, Dianne, help us with effective, quick, stress-reducing things, because the world's kind of chaotic. Now, if you're an empath or you have intense sensitivities, or you're twice exceptional, or maybe you don't relate to any of that, but you still have a lot of stress, right? There are ways that we can effectively relieve totally or greatly reduce stress that is impacting our life in a negative way. So I want to give you some tips and some understandings maybe, and maybe remind you of things you already know or help you see things maybe that are new. So you may want to get a pen, you may want to write some things down, or you might want to just replay the episode to remind you that stress is something that can be managed. Now, I'm twice exceptional, and I'm also neurodivergent. I guess they kind of go together, right? And I handle stress in all the kinds of different ways, and stress affects me greatly in certain situations. So I know intimately the benefit of some of these things I'm going to share with you, because many of them I do myself. Many of them my clients do, and many of them I know about because I've been doing this for so long. So there's a big wide range of things. And now, of course, because this is a podcast, it's not possible for me to custom make your strategy plan, which I do for my clients when they ask. So if you want a custom made plan, you're going to have to do a get to know you call with me or reach out to me, and I will do it for you. That's no problem, because all of us deserve a break from the constant bombardment of energy, stress, and stuff in our life. So let's start off with what stress is, right? It is the impact on our body to get moving. I kind of call it a rub. And I'm not trying to be scientific. I'm trying to be practical, by the way. There is stress that is positive stress. Stress that gets us going in the morning. Stress that gets us motivated to do things or take risks that we know would be good for us, but maybe we're a little bit afraid. There's also the stress of constant bombardment of things that actually wears us down. Now, a lot of what has to do with how a stress affects us has to do with our energy, whether we are rested and hydrated and eating properly and taking care of ourselves. It also has to do with our mind. It has to do with how we think about stress or how we think about what's happening that's causing the stress. So our mindset, our inner language, our way of communicating with ourselves is vital if we want to relieve or reduce stress in 10 minutes or less. It also is something that's important to say, okay, I can use my mind to help take me where I want to go. Now, there's also the reality, I believe, of living in a world that's full of technology and full of bombarding things. My phone rings constantly, and then there's dings, and then there's notifications. And no matter what I keep turning off, it seems like a new thing happens after updates or whatever, and there's another noise. Now, for me, who has the sensory overexcitability, that can be really tricky. Having ADHD makes it so that too many of those noises all at the same time can add unwanted stress to my life and probably yours too. So let's talk about some things that you can do that maybe you don't know about or will be reminded of. One of my favorite things that I use is a mantra. It's a phrase, it's a sentence easily that we can say over and over. So our mind has something to think about that is productive and moves us forward into where we want to go. Examples of a mantra are, I am beautiful, lovable, and capable. That's a really good one if you have any thoughts of not being good enough or imposter syndrome or shame or whatever. Remind yourself you are beautiful, you are lovable, and you are capable. No matter what your mind might say to you, anything else is a lie, right? Another mantra I use is I'm getting better every day in every way. Or you could say it the other way. Every day I'm getting better, better, and better, whatever fits for you. But the whole idea of that one is to remind myself that anything worth doing is worth not doing so great to start with. It also means that we can give ourselves permission for a learning curve or to keep moving forward in a way that works. So every day I'm getting better, better, and better. And when I remind myself of that, instantly I start breathing a little better. Instantly my system calms. And then I'm able to think and strategize moving forward in a way that works. So it's very important that we use our mind to support our stress reduction. There's all kinds of other things. And one I also love to say is, I am free and all is well. Sometimes I'll just say all is well, because sometimes the stress that could be happening might be fear-based, like, oh, this bad thing's going to happen, or, oh, what's going to happen here? And we start making ourselves an agitated mess because we're thinking things that, first of all, are probably out of our control. And second of all, don't apply in that moment, right? So it's important that we realize that sometimes what we're thinking isn't necessarily working in our favor. And so what we want to do is have a thought that takes us where we want to go, reminds us of who we are. So those are just some of the ideas. You can take those ideas or get an idea of your own of what can you focus on in your mind that will help reduce the stress. Now, the next thing I always teach my people about that I work with and have over the many years, and also I do myself, is using the power of our breath. Now, we can use fire breath to raise our energy if we feel tired and we have low energy and we want to have higher energy. We can use fire breath. But if we want to relieve and reduce the stress quickly, our breathing is one of the first things that works really well. Because if you notice, when you are stressed out, you're not breathing properly. In fact, a lot of people aren't breathing properly anyway. Most people that I start teaching breathing to, believe it or not, suck in their belly on an inhale. Well, if we're inhaling, our belly should be going out, not in. But a lot of people were trained, suck it up, suck in your belly. And so they inhale and they suck it in, which is backwards. That alone adds physiological stress to our being because we're forcing our body to do something that's not natural. So the first step is to learn how to let ourselves exhale the air, because exhale is where the breath starts. And then as we inhale, we allow our diaphragm and our ribs and our lungs to expand. Sometimes I even stretch my shoulders back and put my arms way back and allow the air to get into my body. Because when we're stressed, usually we're holding our breath a lot, or we're breathing just enough to keep going. But the less oxygen we have, the higher the stress level, because the organism, the cells in the organism are crying for help because it's like, we don't have enough air. We don't have enough air. And they will start adding stress to get you to breathe. Now, if some of your stress has a trauma response to it or a dysregulation of your vagus nerve particularly, you will notice that as you settle your breathing down, you might feel more anxious. You might notice that, whoa, I don't feel great right away, like everybody says. That's because you're dysregulated. That requires yet a different way to reduce stress in addition to the breathing. So if you're one of those people that you start really breathing and you realize that, wow, I feel a little bit more tense, that means you have some regulating to do of your nervous system. You've got it out of whack. Good news is we can do it, right? We have the ability to re-regulate ourselves. We're not stuck. We're never stuck. Sometimes we just got to find the right combination of things, right? So we want to make sure we're breathing. Air is our friend. The next thing I suggest people to do is drop their shoulders, because when most people are stressed, they're sitting like this. They're sitting with their shoulders in their ears. So the first thing is drop your shoulders and then roll them back and drop them even further so that you're actually stretching out your neck. And then make sure your tongue is not on the roof of your mouth. If your tongue is hanging out on the roof of your mouth, even while you're listening to me, your body in some level is moderating a level of stress. So in order to calm the system, we're going to breathe rhythmically. We're going to think a mantra or a thought that is productive and supportive. And we're going to drop our shoulders and get the tongue off the roof of our mouth and let our system settle. Just settle. So we exhale And then we lovingly inhale and we allow ourselves to establish a natural rhythm and a natural flow. And as we're doing that, we're dropping our shoulders, getting the tongue off the roof of our mouth, relaxing our jaws, and allowing ourselves to support our nervous system and support our biology and neurology in a loving, compassionate way. And so sometimes I'll do that kind of meditating, breathing mantra thing for periods of time throughout the day. It doesn't have to be a whole 10 minutes. It can be 5 minutes here, 3 minutes there, 20 minutes over here, whatever you need to help you feel great. It's wonderful. There's lots of different things we can do. Another thing that research shows is amazing, and I know it to be true, I'm sure you do too, is music. Really good classical music that's not a synthesizer, right? That's actual real instruments like Beethoven, Bach, and Mozart. Those original classicals are known to bring alpha waves to our brain, are noted to allow us to calm down. So I have some families I work with young children who are very hyperactive. And one of the things we do is we play classical music very silently in the background because it reminds the brain to calm down. Now, I don't think those composers were actually trying to find alpha state in the brain and trying to help us meditate and relax, but that's what it does. I know that one of the albums that Kenny Loggins did for children, he said to me, because you notice that there's no drums in it. And I was like, yes. And he said, well, because I wanted it to be for children. And he used a lot of tunes and songs that were familiar to those of us, or the ideas of them, right? And then he put different lyrics in it. So it was really kind of fun to listen to. And it did calm me down. And he said that he did it for children because he has grandkids and he wanted to do a children's album. But the feedback he was getting from people who bought it for their children was that it was helping kids who were neurodivergent be able to settle and calm and focus. That may or may not have been the original intent, but that was outcome. Because when we allow music to bathe our soul and be in our mind and be part of us, and we listen to things that resonate in a loving and kind way, it will in fact relax our system. Just like if we listen to music that's all jarring and hard, like staccato, that we will find ourselves being all jarred and kind of like all agitated. So you pick a music that soothes you, that you enjoy listening to, that allows you to breathe and relax. I often will be playing nice melodic piano music in my office when I'm working and doing paperwork or doing something where it's not going to be interrupting me, right? And it keeps my system in harmony because I can follow the melody. There's no lyrics to it. I just follow it along and I allow myself to stay in a relaxed state because the music soothes my mind, soothes my body. So you can use the music that you love that brings you peace. Another thing you can do that I try to do at least every hour is move, like stretching, moving, get up, walk around, do jumping jacks, something, and hydrate. Too often people are dehydrated because they forget to drink water. They have it there, but they're not drinking it, or they don't drink enough of it, or they don't even think about water, or they don't think about hydrating food like watermelon or grapes or blueberries. And we want to make sure we're hydrated. Our bodies need a lot of water. If you have a life where you're talking a lot, like me sometimes, or you're busy or you're sweating a lot because you're outside and active, you need to hydrate. It's also important that we have enough minerals in our system. A lot of gifted people run through more minerals than others. So we want to have different kinds of minerals that we're taking. And that's another topic. If you're interested in that, do a call with me. I'll help you with it. But the whole point is we want to have enough minerals. We want to have enough vitamins and nutrition, and we want to be hydrated. The other piece of this is movement. So what I like to do is about every hour or so, if I'm sitting, I will get up, walk around, stretch, kind of move with whatever my body wants me to do to help relieve whatever stress it might be holding from a sitting position or a standing position or whatever. And I'll make sure I drink some water or drink some hydrating fluid of some type. And then I will move like my hands or whatever it is to allow myself to have movement in my system. Because if we sit still for a long time, our lymph system gets all sluggish. We start feeling sluggish. So we want to add movement, water, hydration. I think of water as like the oil of the engine of my car. If I let that go down, the engine seizes up, right? Same thing with hydration. If we're so dehydrated that our body is just barely functioning, we're going to end up with physical problems, emotional, mental problems, because our system is going to be struggling. And if you don't want to feel like you're running through jello, if you don't want to feel like you're struggling to make it, then it's important that we do things that nourish ourselves, like stretching our muscles and contracting our muscles and hydrating our body in whatever way that serves us. There's lots of ways to do this. It's important. Another tip for reducing your stress in 10 minutes is to create something. Yeah. A lot of musicians I work with create music. They pick up their instrument or they sit at their keyboard and they play. Or they write a song. Or they listen to something that really brings them peace. A lot of other people I work with do things like diamond painting or coloring or doodling or journaling, writing of some kind. Any kind of creativity works. Sometimes I'll go out and dig in the dirt and be creative with how I put my plants together or love on them, right? And that's a creative thing for me. I also do quilting. I also do some diamond painting here and there. And one of the other things I love to do is cook delicious meals, especially if I'm making one for friends, because serving friends something that I've made is a great joy to me. So you can use your creative skills in all kinds of ways. Now, if you're listening to me and you're going, Diane, but I'm not creative, I'm not an artist. You didn't hear me say anything about that, did you? You're a creative being because you're sucking air. So if you're not feeling creative, or you can't think of something you can create or do that is creative, then there you have a little work to do, right? To find out what that would be. Because it's easy to get off track in this world where everything's fed to us and creativity is marginalized in a lot of ways. However, creativity is what keeps us sane and alive and happy. So what are you creating? You know, with your life, every thought you create, every thought you have is creating your life. If I get up in the morning and I say, oh God, it's another day and I'm all heavy, my day is probably going to be kind of heavy. Or if I get up in the morning and go, wow, thank you. This is a great day. The sun is out. Or maybe it's raining and it's a great day for ducks. If I get up with that attitude, then my day is going to be much more uplifted. In fact, recently I went to an event with a friend and I was all excited to go. It was a creative kind of event and I wanted to experience it. The friend who went with me, I think, kind of went more out of obligation. Like I invited them, so they said yes. And then they were wondering why they said yes, but they didn't say that. So I could be wrong. Anyway, we get there and my friend was, you could tell, not really into it, kind of, it's okay. I don't really want to go, but I'll go because you want me to, kind of attitude and demeanor. I kept saying, you don't have to come. And they said, no, I want to go. But their face didn't look like it exactly. So we went to the event. I was having a blast. I loved it. And my friend looked like they were having an okay time. And on the way back, I was like, wow, this happened, that happened, this. And I was just so enthralled. And my friend goes, I didn't see any of that. Are you sure we were in the same place? I didn't see that. I didn't see this. I didn't have that experience, or I would have liked it more. As our conversation unfolded, it became really obvious that my friend kind of had blinders up based on their mind of what the experience was going to be. And so they missed some of the beauty because they were closed-minded. So we want to have that open mind of creativity and curiosity because it keeps our stress level down. And it reminds us that we have options and we're in charge of our experience. Nobody else is in charge of your experience other than you. So what are you doing? If you're walking into life itself or an event or a situation with an attitude that's closed down for any reason, you're going to have a different experience than someone who has an open mind and an open attitude. So I check on yourself every once in a while. If you're feeling all bogged down, then is your mind open or closed? What's up with that? And you're the one, and you are the only one that can make a choice to do something different. So sometimes I catch myself, that kind of stamping my princess foot closed mind. And I remind myself, why don't we open our mind and see what the options are, what's available to us, what experience we can have rather than what we don't want to do. That relieves stress greatly in just a few minutes. You don't even need all 10 necessarily for that one. Another thing that I think is cool to do is watching funny videos, like anything funny. I love puppy and kitten videos or videos where people are being goofy in a healthy kind of fun way, right? But you give me a bunch of dog and puppy videos or animal videos where they're doing crazy wild things or kittens playing, things like that. And I will laugh and relax all day long. In fact, I was at my dermatologist's office couple weeks ago, and they, how many of the offices now have videos playing on these big TVs, and they were playing kitten and puppy videos of kittens and puppies playing all different all different things. Clearly it was some kind of loop or whatever, but it was one funny puppy or kitten video after another. And you could hear people in the lobby kind of giggling because you couldn't hold back some of your laughter. And so we were just all kind of just sitting there watching it. And for the 10 minutes I waited, I was laughing for a lot of that time, either out loud or to myself. But it helped keep my stress down, which I'm sure is why they do that in the doctor's office lobby. Helps you not feel so stressed out by laughing at something that is cute and humorous, like puppies, like kittens, like little kids doing funny dances, those kinds of things. So watch funny videos. I have some queued up on some social media things that I have on my phone where I've searched it enough times that the algorithm knows, and I start seeing all these little funny, goofy videos. And it reminds me in that laughter that I have, that's where my life is. That's where my joy is, because joy is our natural state. We are meant to be alive and thrive and feel joyful. And in our laughter, we are reminded of that. So it's an important way to relieve the stress, and it goes very fast when we're doing that. Another thing that we can do is be willing to disengage, I would say. Be willing to put down social media, to put down our phones, to take a Sabbath, if you will, a rest from being hooked like a chain to electronics. Like I'll take 4 to 5 hours, sometimes 6 or 7 hours, and sometimes longer on a weekend or a day where I know that if I turn everything off, it's going to be okay. So my mind doesn't have to wonder, right? And the people who might be looking for me now know that if I don't answer right away, that's probably what I've done. Or I tell people, if you're going to call me, don't call me on Sunday because I won't be answering the phone. I'm turning everything off because my brain needs a break. It's very easy. We get sucked into the addiction of that dopamine hit from social media, from scrolling, from any kind of electronic thing, that we can then become a slave to it and entrained to it. And then it becomes a source of stress. And then not having it, we're withdrawing in a way that's also stressful. So we want to have enough longer term breaks where we can come and go out of the situation without causing stress on both sides. And that might take a little work for some people. And I know I made that change a long time ago. And when I started making that change, it was a little hard at first. And then I realized, wow, I really was more hooked into this than I thought. And I had to gradually work with myself in order to get to a place where I'm controlling my consumption on electronics, not it controlling me. And the last thing I want to say, there's many others, and there's some that I can put together for you that are unique for you. That's what I do with my clients all the time, is help them with unique solutions for them. But one of the other things that I think works really well, which other people, they think I'm kind of goofy, is crunching, whether it's chewing gum, but for me, it's crunching. Nuts, celery, carrots, food that I can crunch safely with my teeth. And that crunching and that chewing help release dopamine. They help us feel good. So I have crunchy snacks around, whether it's gum, but usually it's not. Usually it's something like celery or nuts or granola treats or something like that, so that my body can crunch, because crunching helps moderate our brain, helps us feel better, and helps relieve our stress. So I hope this episode has helped you. And there's many more ideas that I have, but these are the ones that are kind of at the top of the list that we can make into our own. And we can combine things like breathing and changing our mind and using a mantra, and maybe allowing ourselves to have some water or have a lighted candle that has a beautiful scent. I didn't even get to mention that, right? Using aromas. Or like I have my bowls behind me. I will just strike the bowls and allow the sound to just nourish my being, like music does. There's all kinds of combinations and personal, unique things. Now, try different things for yourself. and be open to the results. And know that even if something doesn't resonate today, it might down the road. And maybe some of the things that used to work for you aren't working as well anymore, and you want to try some new things. In any event, it is possible to reduce and relieve toxic stress very quickly with focus and with determination and actually doing it. See, gifted people like to give themselves credits for doing things that they think about but don't necessarily physically do sometimes. So it matters that we take the action. So take a break. I do a mindset meditation in the middle of the day. Do whatever it takes to allow yourself the freedom to be free of all of the toxic energy and the toxic stress that drags you down, because you are needed in the world. Your light is important, and it matters greatly that you show up for your own life and that you're present for the people that rely on you, and that you're present for yourself. So remember, friends, until the next episode of Someone Gets Me, to keep your face to the sun so the shadows fall behind you, because you're a rock star. You are here on purpose with a very, very important, mighty purpose. So go out there, let your light shine, keep your stress levels in a manageable way by frequently taking these little 10-minute stress-free breaks. Until the next episode of Someone Gets Me, this is Dianne saying, be well.
Thank you for listening. I trust you gained some valuable inspiration and information. Please join me and other visionaries in the Someone Gets Me Facebook group. Or for more information on my services and additional episodes, visit someonegetsme.com. Again, thanks for listening.